In these clips, we see U.S. fighters strafing Axis planes with their machine guns. The number one priority of U.S. Air Forces was the destruction of the German Air Force. Parked planes were prized targets since the destruction of these aircraft fell within the Priority 1 mandate. Strafing airfields required well-coordinated and timed attacks since they were usually well protected by many anti-aircraft guns. The intent of this video is to review tactics, lessons learned, guidelines, and the impact strafing airfields had on the Allied war effort. I've combed through hours of archival combat footage creating a compilation of airfield strafing attack snippets. At the end of this video, we will view 50 or so airfield strafing attacks. This video dovetails nicely with the channel's last video release, which covered train strafing. In that video, we spent some time discussing the merits of the P-47 Thunderbolt as the U.S. premier ground attack fighter targeting trains, airfields, or tanks. The P-47 was more heavily armed with up to 8 50-caliber machine guns and could absorb more battle damage. We also discussed the plane's guns were fed by 100% armor-piercing incendiary rounds, effective range was out to 400 yards, and the optimum dive angle equated to around 15 degrees. An airfield was considered the most dangerous target, as discussed in this December 1944 declassified AAF School of Applied Tactics document titled Offensive Fighter Operations in the TAF. German airfields were protected by light anti-aircraft guns. Pilots would need to be briefed on the location of these gun emplacements. These threats would need to be neutralized prior to strafing the parked aircraft. The pilot would also need to know the layout of the airfield's hangars, buildings, and other obstructions that would affect the attack. This page from a 1945 8th Air Force document titled Flak, Light, Intense, and Accurate outlines the German defensive response to Allied airfield strafing attacks. The Germans continually increased the number of anti-aircraft guns protecting their airfields from the first strafing attack to the end of hostilities. Airfields initially protected by 10 to 15 guns quadrupled their gun numbers. Some airfields were ringed with up to 80 light anti-aircraft guns within a 3-mile radius. A Me-262 jet airfield near Prague was protected by 220 light anti-aircraft guns. Light AA guns are defined by their caliber size between 20 and 40 millimeter. Also, flying on the deck is flying at the lowest possible altitude. An image and characteristics of the quad mount 20 millimeter light flak gun. The caption reads, the most vicious of the light flak guns. This chart provides some indication as to the level of danger to fighters attacking airfields as compared to other targets. Of the 192 65th Fighter Wing flak losses, 75 occurred while strafing airfields and 18 while on bomber escort duty. Most of the fighter losses occurred by light flak while flying on the deck. When enemy fighters refuse to come up to engage, we must change our plans and attack them at their airfields. This can be done with minimum risk to the attacking fighters by careful study of the anti-aircraft gun numbers, types, and locations. Attack tactics have been developed to maximize airfield plane losses and minimize U.S. fighter losses. Let's walk through a typical German airfield attack by a group of P-47 fighters. The annotated maps are sourced from a 1945 8th Air Force Tactical Development document. This airfield is protected by 4 light anti-aircraft gun emplacements located in these shaded areas. 17 German aircraft are scattered about the airfield at these locations shaded. The airfield support facilities include hangars, crew barracks, a control tower, and an ammo dump. The attacking group consists of 48 P-47s. 3 fighter squadrons make up the group, where each fighter squadron is represented by 16 P-47s. If possible, attack the airfield with the prevailing wind at your back. That way, the smoke from the destroyed aircraft and fuel is less likely to obscure the subsequent attack runs. The wind is blowing from this direction. To maximize the element of surprise, the entire 48-plane group approaches the airfield flying at deck level. At 1 mile from the airfield, climb to a 1,000-foot altitude and the group will split into 3 squadrons. The first squadron continues to climb to 3,500 feet, while they will provide top fighter cover. They will orbit the airfield at this altitude. The second squadron will split into 4 elements of 4 planes each and strafe a pre-assigned gun emplacement. Since neutralization of the airfield's anti-aircraft guns is vital to the mission's success, the most skilled pilots are given this task. The third follow-on squadron will attack individually the parked aircraft and airfield installations. Crews were briefed to prioritize attacking the fighters first. After the second squadron finishes their gun emplacement attack pass, they climb and relieve the first squadron of their top cover duties. The first squadron will now strafe the airfield targets not hit by the third squadron. The attacks continue until the group's air commander calls off the attack. The planes fly off at deck level to the group's rendezvous point. While fighters attacking the plane should adhere to the open fire effective range of 400 yards, the planes strafing the gun emplacement should start their suppressive neutralizing fire at longer distances, as defined on this page from a 1945 Air Force Gunnery Manual. Open fire on ground anti-aircraft emplacements to demoralize crews, make them take cover, and throw off their aim. Additional airfield strafing considerations are listed on this page from a 1945 document titled The History of the 8th Air Force's Fighter Command. Pilots were instructed to be accuracy conscientious during ground strafing. Combat footage shows single continuous bursts striking a few hundred feet in front of the target, walking through the target, and continuing 100 feet past the target. Best practice is to fire a single short sight-in long-distance burst, then open fire on the target at a 400-yard effective range. Keep firing to a breakaway distance of 5 to 600 feet from the target. Push down slightly on the stick to account for bullet drop, and keep firing until the gun sight pip is off the target. These tactics were applied on an airfield attack where a squadron of fighters set 16 airplanes on fire, destroyed 2 gliders, and had reserve ammo for the trip home. Pilots wasted ammo by strafing planes already on fire. The pilot should have attacked the airfield installations. These posters were sketched to remind fighter pilots to stay on the deck after an attack and, if flak is heavy, only make a single pass and exit the area. Airfield strafing requires discipline to execute. Pilots should select one airfield target and focus on attacking that target only. Spraying machine gun fire on the airfield is ineffective and dangerous to the other attacking fighters. An understanding of the plan, airfield layout, and target priority is critical to mission success. This is why random airfield attacks are not allowed as unplanned targets of opportunity. The 3 exceptions to this rule include a high-value, juicy target is on the airfield, like an Me-262 or Me-163, if the attack has been planned, or an overwhelming fighter force is attacking, but only one pass is permitted. So how effective were airfield attacks in the overall war effort? This page from a 1945 8th Air Force's Statistical Summary document outlines 8th Air Force's fighter claims for both air-to-air and air-to-ground engagements by German airplane type. The fighter pilots claimed 5,222 enemy planes destroyed in air-to-air engagements, and 4,250 planes destroyed, 23 probably destroyed, and 2,886 damaged in air-to-ground engagements. Fighters claimed 130 Me-262 jets destroyed in aerial combat and another 100 while on the ground. An enemy aircraft on the ground is considered destroyed if there exists photographic evidence of it being blown up, burning, located within the lethal radius of a detonated fragmentation bomb, sinks in deep water, or was on board an aircraft carrier which was sunk. Probably destroyed if the damage is extensive enough for a less than 50% chance of salvage. Damaged if some repairs are needed to become operational. German officer testimony indicated that in the latter part of the war, constant airfield strafing kept their fighters grounded. Strafing had a more detrimental effect on German Air Force crew morale than bombing. Strafing had a disruptive effect on efficiency. From spring of 1944 through May of 1945, the 8th Air Forces kept the pressure on German airfields by strafing. Many accomplished fighter pilots were lost on these strafing attacks, as your dogfighting ability played no part in the AA gunner skill in targeting your fighter. These pilots would be needed for the air battles to come. Their losses should be remembered. Okay, now let's look at some airfield strafing attack snippets. Items to look for. API or incendiary bullets will flash when making contact. With these flash strikes, you can infer the level of aiming accuracy. The attack dive angles are much shallower than in the train attacks, as seen in the channel's last video. Some pilots open fire within the 400-yard effective range, and some well beyond the effective range. The pilots, for the most part, open fire at closer ranges than when strafing trains. There are variations in target disciplines, as in selecting a single target per pass versus spraying the general area. In this attack, the pilot targets 2 planes inadequately instead of focusing on one good kill. This is a very shallow on-the-deck attack, whereas this is a very steep attack. A wasteful, continuous fire spray strafing attack that should be avoided. This is good. Pick out one of the parked planes to receive your bullet stream. Good targeting. Attack the plane not already on fire. You've got your kill. Pull up and requeue for another pass. You're targeting the plane flying on the deck, but you detonate the back structure. Flying on the deck can be difficult as you need to split your concentration between your target and any obstructions. Open fire from too far away based on the bullet strike groupings. Strafing the area, not concentrating on a single target. Open fire from too far away. This is why your strafing attack should be with the wind at your back, so the smoke does not obscure the other targets. Strafing inside a protected hangar. A pole coming up to avoid. Walking the bullet strikes to the target. Strafing a horse. How'd that get in there? Excellent discipline, holding fire till around 400 yards. Good strafing of a fighter taking off. Trying to attack while under a high G load factor, not good gunnery practice. Opens a continuous burst way too far from the target, which can be ascertained by the ground strikes. I believe he's targeting this hangar that's just coming into view. He should have held fire until he reached about this point. The pilot has time to select which target to focus on and attack. He should be prioritizing the fighters. He should have opened fire much closer to the target area. Targeting 4 airplanes in one pass and not likely destroying any. Need to be careful when trees surround the airfield. Good example of accredited destroyed airplane, footage of it both exploding and burning. I hope you found this video interesting, informative, and worthy of your time.